Ladies and gentlemen, the WWE did it on Friday Night SmackDown. Cody Rhodes lost the Undisputed Championship. Now, this is a video I've been wanting to make for quite some time. We're going to talk about Cody Rhodes quite a bit in this one, but I want to start off with Drew McIntyre finally winning a WWE Championship properly in front of the fans and finally getting his moment. I feel like it's been a long time coming, and I'm honestly so happy for Drew. And in this build-up to this match, I was very, very concerned, and I think a lot of people were. I've seen a lot of talk online where a lot of people were concerned that this was kind of make or break for Drew McIntyre. If he lost this match, I don't know how he would have come back into a world title picture, because he would have already had his like stint and his opportunity at the World Heavyweight Championship, and then moving over to SmackDown, having about 6 months with Cody Rhodes, or it feels like 6 months. It's probably not 6 months, but it feels like it. Having this long feud with Cody Rhodes obviously wouldn't have helped. And then, yeah, if you have the big blow-off match at the end and then Drew loses, then it's like, well, where does he go from here? What title does he go for? Because he's, like I said, he's already had his whole story involving the World Heavyweight Championship fairly recently. Like, it's not too long ago, obviously a couple of years ago, but still not too long ago. And then he's just had this big feud with Cody Rhodes, so it's almost like he's kind of in no man's land at that point. But in this whole build-up to this match, there was like maybe this absolute tiny section of me that was like, maybe Drew wins. But honestly, every time I thought about it, I was like, no, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do it. It's a Friday Night SmackDown. WWE these days, they never change, especially Cody Rhodes losing the WWE Championship on a SmackDown. Now, like this current WWE, when was the last time they did that? I don't think they've done that. Like, not with this title. Like, obviously Roman Reigns held it for 3 years or whatever it was, 1,300 days and all that sort of stuff. So obviously he didn't lose it on a SmackDown. He lost it at WrestleMania, and it's basically been a title that only changes at either SummerSlam or WrestleMania. So this whole build-up, I was like, every time I thought like, oh, maybe Drew will win because of this, I was like, I just didn't see it coming, because I just thought WWE are not going to have their big poster boy, Cody Rhodes, lose the WWE Championship on a Friday Night SmackDown this close to WrestleMania. That's where my head went with it. I didn't think that WWE would pull the trigger, but thank God they did, because it's been getting a little bit boring this last year. Like 2025, I personally feel like was definitely a dip in the content of WWE. It wasn't as enticing as it has been. I get what they were trying to do with the vision and all of that sort of stuff, but it's just felt a bit lackluster this past year. And I mean, my favorite thing of the whole year was Cena's farewell tour, and I know a lot of people didn't really enjoy it, but that's a whole different other story. So yeah, I'm glad that WWE finally seemed to turn over a new leaf. So we need to move on to the main star of the video, I guess, which is Cody Rhodes himself. So, Mr. Cody Rhodes. The thing is with Cody, I need to say this before I even get into this, is he is absolutely so good at just teetering that line of, is he going to turn? Is he going to stay babyface? He's probably one of the best that I've seen to do it, because it's almost every single feud he's in, I'm like, is he going to turn? Is he going to turn? Like, oh, this is it. He's going to turn. It seems different this time, and then he doesn't. So, like, for example, back when he was feuding with Kevin Owens, it seemed like, oh, Cody Rhodes is changing. Like, he's becoming more aggressive and all of this sort of stuff. And it felt like, oh, maybe he's going to turn, but then obviously he didn't. Then there's the whole Rock situation, trying to sell his soul or try and get Cody Rhodes' soul. And it's like, oh, maybe this is the moment where Cody Rhodes turns. Obviously he didn't. Cena did. And then there was the whole King of the Ring stuff with Randy Orton. Like, oh, is this Cody Rhodes turning? And then he didn't. So he's always teetering that line. He's so good at doing that. And I need to put that out there first and foremost, because this isn't the first time that I've thought, oh, maybe Cody Rhodes turns. But as I've said every other time, it feels different this time. And I could be right this time, but again, it could just be he's teetering that line so perfectly. So yeah, I personally think that the Cody Rhodes heel turn is a lot sooner than what any of us realize. And not only that, but I think the watch, Dusty Rhodes' watch, I think that is a crucial and big story piece with Cody Rhodes right now and the possible heel turn. So I want to take a trip down memory lane as we do on this channel. Before we even explain where my thoughts are with this situation, I want to explain how I've got here, because I like to look back on what's happened before and try and consider, okay, so that happened back then, so maybe they'll use that now and link it in some sort of way. So I'm pretty sure it was just after WrestleMania 40. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it might have even been the Raw after, when Cody Rhodes had won the title, beaten Roman Reigns, finally winning his first WWE Championship, and The Rock showed up. And The Rock went face to face with Cody Rhodes in the ring, and it felt very weird and very awkward. And it's kind of been like that ever since with interactions between The Rock and Cody Rhodes. There's always this weird feeling around it. And I think it's now, anyway, I think it's on purpose. I think they're doing it on purpose. And The Rock wanted to hold Cody Rhodes' title, and he didn't want to go there to beat up Cody Rhodes or anything like that. And then he gave Cody Rhodes something, and he covered it up. And I believe that he said something along the lines of like, I don't need to even show you what this is, but you can feel this in your hands and you know exactly what it is. And I can't remember if we've actually been shown what that was. Future Joseph making his return again. So again, I'm editing this video and just looking at me talking about what The Rock gave to Cody Rhodes after WrestleMania. I've done a little bit of digging. I probably should have done this before the video, but here we are. I've done a little bit of digging online, and from what I can see, WWE never actually revealed what that item was that The Rock handed over to Cody Rhodes. Now, we've heard Cody Rhodes has said something along the lines of that he gifted something to The Rock and it was an expensive item, and then The Rock returned it. And to me, that kind of seems like, okay, it's probably the Rolex watch that Cody had obviously given to, I believe it was Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and The Rock before WrestleMania 40. And I feel like it's probably that watch which is being returned to him as a sign of like disrespect or something like that, maybe. Like The Rock is kind of like, I don't want your gifts, that sort of situation. Now, while making this video, I feel like WWE may have missed a step with this, although they could possibly try and maybe make it a thing. But I feel like what they could have done with this is they could have gone down a route where The Rock is actually gifting Cody Rhodes or giving Cody Rhodes the Rolex watch that Dusty had. Like that, I feel like would have been something for a storyline. And especially with this whole video where I'm talking about Cody Rhodes' possible heel turn, towards the end of it, you're going to understand why I'm mentioning this. But I mean, yeah, I feel like it's a big miss if they don't go down that sort of route. And there could be a situation where maybe they try and go down that route of The Rock did give Cody Dusty's watch, but I feel like it's more likely that they go down a route where, obviously in the Unreal documentary, we saw that Triple H basically told Cody Rhodes that him and, I forgot who the other person was, it might have been Nick Khan, maybe, I can't remember who the other person he mentioned was, but him and someone else on the board of directors, not The Rock, but someone else, had decided to get Cody Rhodes Dusty's watch. And they gifted him the watch right there and then, and we saw Cody's reaction. And to me, it didn't look scripted. Obviously, it could be, but it didn't look like it was, at least that moment anyway. But I wouldn't be surprised if in storyline, they go down that route of maybe it was actually The Rock who was the one to maybe find out exactly where that watch was, or maybe he was the one who had the idea initially of, you know what, WWE, I want you to gift Cody Rhodes the watch that Dusty had. Go out and find it, give it to him, and just say that it's from the WWE and like the board of directors from Triple H, blah, blah, all of that sort of stuff. And then later down the line, we could actually find out that maybe The Rock was the one to give or make sure that Cody Rhodes received that Rolex watch that Dusty had. So yeah, then Cody Rhodes went on his big title reign as a huge babyface, facing the likes of Solo Sikoa. When we got the return of Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, he went on to face Kevin Owens when it was like, oh, Kevin's going to turn on him, but then they actually flipped it and made it so that Kevin felt like Cody had turned on him, and they went down that route. And obviously we've briefly spoken about how Cody teetered that line even in that feud of, is he going to turn or is he not? And obviously he didn't in the end. But then we fast forward to the WrestleMania 41, and that was where in the build-up we had The Rock again with Cody Rhodes, and The Rock was basically asking Cody for his soul, and he wanted Cody to be his champion, so like a corporate champion for The Rock. And then again, we were wondering, is he going to turn heel? Is this the moment that they're going to pull the trigger on the heel turn? They didn't. John Cena was the one who turned heel. He went on to WrestleMania to defeat Cody Rhodes, and then, yeah, we had that whole John Cena heel turn, title reign, and then Cody Rhodes ended up having to go into the King of the Ring tournament. And this was the first moment where I really felt like this year, so consistently since then, I've felt like something has been different about Cody. And I haven't felt like that before with other feuds. So, like, I've never been able to put my finger on a moment where I feel like, oh, from that moment, Cody was different, and consistently feeling like that. So it's usually been like Cody against Kevin in the ladder match. It felt like, oh, Cody's a bit different here, but I didn't feel like after that he was still different, if that makes sense. It felt like he kind of, in that match, he tapped into something else, became more aggressive because he had to overcome Kevin Owens to retain the title, and then afterwards he returned to the big poster boy, kissing babies and all of that sort of stuff. Whereas now, obviously, he's still been doing that since King of the Ring. He's still been kissing babies and that sort of thing. But ever since the King of the Ring final, when he faced Randy Orton, it feels like ever since then, Cody's just slowly been changing. So against Randy Orton, he was obviously very aggressive in his approach. He was basically targeting like a weakness of Randy. I think he was targeting Randy's back, that's crazy when you're supposed to be like best friends and he's your mentor and that sort of thing. Because you know Randy was out with a back injury, and now you're targeting that very thing that could end his career. So obviously that's not a babyface in my book. So yeah, then after that, they made it out as if Randy was very annoyed at the situation, and maybe Randy was going to be the one to turn on Cody Rhodes, and that might have been coming up soon, and clearly they didn't pull the trigger on that, at least not yet anyway. And then Cody Rhodes went off and faced John Cena, and he obviously won the title back. And then after winning the title back, Cody has still felt like he's been a little bit different. So what I mean by that, it felt like Cody Rhodes was never the same after he won the championship, or actually after he lost the championship to Cena, and then after he won it back as well. It felt like he wasn't the same Cody Rhodes that he was before. At least that's just my opinion. So for example, I'm pretty sure the only feud he's really had, Cody, since SummerSlam, I think it's only been Drew. I don't remember him having any other challenges since winning the title back against Cena, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. And this whole feud with Drew, Cody has been doing numerous things that I would argue is not a babyface thing to do. So for example, I could list a few off the top of my head. We had Cody Rhodes DDTing Drew onto the title belt back at Saturday night's main event to retain the championship. After Jacob Fatu got attacked, Cody Rhodes was the one to charge out and basically pointing a finger at Drew and being like, it was you. Cody Rhodes has repeatedly told Nick Aldis, the general manager of SmackDown, that Nick works for Cody, especially when Cody was the champion, kind of like, well, I'm the champion, so you work for me. But then Cody would be very smart and flip it and be like, because I work for the fans. So that's how he kind of brought it back to like a babyface level. But telling your boss, like, I don't work for you, you work for me, that's not a babyface thing to say. And then the whole thing with Jacob Fatu as well, Cody Rhodes issued that impromptu title match where Cody was still in his suit, basically, and he basically had a match with Drew. I'm pretty sure it was for the title. And then in the end, Cody whacked Drew with the title and caused a disqualification, which again, that's not a babyface thing to do. Cody obviously turned up at Drew McIntyre's house when Nick Aldis had said that he was going to go and handle it. So again, that's not a babyface thing to do, to show up at someone's house and cause a scene like he did. So yeah, these are just a few examples that I have off the top of my head. I could be missing quite a few, even from like back when he feuded with Kevin and stuff like that. But yeah, my point is, since Cody lost his title and then won it back against Cena, he hasn't felt the same, in my opinion. So now, when we fast forward to the 3 Stages of Hell match, Drew was clearly getting under Cody's skin, and there's been things that even Drew has been saying which could hint at there's a heel turn coming.
I've broken you mentally, Cody. Next week, I'm going to break you physically. I wish Dusty was still here today to see the man that you've become. When I send you straight to hell.
Drew obviously was the one who basically brought the watch back into play just before the 3 Stages of Hell match, because obviously he burnt the picture of Dusty the week before, and then on this show where he's won the title, that's when he's brought the watch into play. But yeah, during the last, well, not even just the last stage, but during that 3 Stages of Hell match against Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes was still doing a bunch of things that I don't think a babyface does. So Cody was biting Drew on the forehead, on the arm, on the calf, like he was basically just chomping away at Drew McIntyre. Maybe he was a bit hungry, I don't know, but that's not a babyface thing to do. He's basically turning carnivore. Like, what is going on? But yeah, then obviously to end the matchup, I kind of had this idea that I felt like Jacob was going to return in that final stage, and I personally thought, like, the idea I had before the match was, my prediction would have been that both men would have been down inside the ring, laid out, because they would have been through this brutal, already 2 stages, and now into the steel cage, and they've done a bunch of brutal stuff, and now both men are down, exhausted, and I thought Jacob's music was going to hit, and then he was going to come out, march his way down to the ring, walk up the steps, enter the cage, both men are down. They're both kind of looking up at him like, oh my god, he's back. Like, what is he going to do? He was going to look at Drew, look at Cody, and then I thought it was going to be a similar situation to the whole Jade and Naomi thing, where they were trying to push that Liv did it, and then it was actually Naomi who did it, and Jade, obviously, in the Elimination Chamber, it was kind of Liv and Naomi, and Liv was like, I didn't do it, and then Jade was like, I know, bow, and targeted Naomi and wiped her out. So I thought it was going to be a similar situation there, where Jacob looks at both people, Drew's kind of like, it wasn't me, and then Jacob's kind of like, I know, bang, attacks Cody Rhodes, and then we know, okay, Cody was the one behind it. So I thought it was going to go down that route. I understand why they didn't do that, and it's probably better that they didn't, to be honest, because the way that they did it was very, very smart. So Jacob obviously was basically stopped Drew from winning the title, because Drew was about to crawl out of the cage and get the championship when Jacob appeared. And then Jacob entered the ring, started attacking Drew, so immediately everyone's first thought is going to be, oh, he's attacking Drew. He stopped Drew from exiting the cage. He tried to stop him from winning the title because Drew was the one who attacked him. But then Cody Rhodes came over and tried to break it up, and Jacob immediately just started laying into Cody Rhodes as well. And that is what basically allowed Drew to escape and then win the title. Obviously, afterwards, Jacob was kind of looking at Drew through the cage like, oh my god, this guy's won the title kind of thing. And then Cody actually, again, attacked him from behind, slammed him into the cage or something, and then the camera was kind of back and forth between Drew's face, Cody's face, and like Cody realizing like, oh my god, I've lost the championship. So I think they've done it very smart, because most people are going to believe that the way that they did it, Jacob returning, trying to cost Drew McIntyre the championship, people are going to think, oh, he did that, he attacked him first because Drew is the one who attacked him. But I personally think that Cody Rhodes is the man who attacked Jacob Fatu, and I think that could be the big thing on the heel turn for Cody Rhodes, possibly. Now, there is obviously still a world where maybe Drew did it, but my gut feeling just tells me that it's a bit of a cop out, and it's a bit of an easy route to go down, and it feels like WWE don't usually point the finger at someone so much and say like, he did it, and then have them be the person who did it, because I don't know, they like to kind of try and point you in one direction. The Jade Cargill thing, again, as an example, they were constantly trying to push that, oh, Liv Morgan did it, Raquel Rodriguez did it, it was the Judgment Day, they were behind it, they took out Jade Cargill. It was constant, like, trying to basically forced that on us. And then obviously the whole reveal and swerve was that, and it made sense for the swerve to be that Naomi did it. And I feel like this is a similar situation where I don't think they just go with the easy option of, oh yeah, it was Drew. Like we said, it was Drew and it was Drew. Like, I think there is a world where where that does happen, and I'll talk about that a bit more. I think Cody Rhodes is the man who attacked Jacob Fatu. Now, the reason being could be many reasons. Maybe Cody was scared to defend the title against Jacob. Maybe he thought that he was going to lose against Jacob because Jacob's a Samoan werewolf, all of that sort of thing. It could even be that Cody Rhodes didn't want to risk the title going back to a member of the bloodline, like a member of that family, maybe. And maybe that's why he attacked Jacob Fatu, because he didn't want another idea of like a bloodline title reign type situation. But who knows what WWE could have as being the reasoning behind Cody Rhodes attacking Jacob. Now, this might sound crazy, especially considering the fact that I just mentioned that Cody could have attacked Jacob because of the bloodline and he doesn't want a title to go back to that family. But people might not like this, but I feel like Cody Rhodes and The Rock's story could be about to come full circle. In my opinion, there's a big possibility that the way this story is going, that The Rock could return. And this time, Cody Rhodes could side himself alongside the final boss. So obviously I mentioned, as we took that trip down memory lane, we had that moment after WrestleMania where it was a bit awkward and The Rock gave Cody Rhodes the Rolex watch. He held Cody's title, and then to kind of link that up to what's been happening recently, I guess, is you had then The Rock show up before WrestleMania 41 and try and get Cody to sell his soul. So it kind of made sense. Okay, so that's why The Rock wanted to hold Cody's title, because it wasn't necessary that he wanted a title. He wanted someone to hold that title for him. He wanted someone's soul, and that someone was Cody Rhodes. So then if we go on to what else could be next for Cody Rhodes specifically, I could see a couple of different options for Cody in the Royal Rumble itself. Now, my first idea is Cody Rhodes could be number 1 or number 2, so he starts off the Royal Rumble and he goes like a long distance, and then someone like Roman Reigns or even Randy Orton could be the one to eliminate him, and that could obviously feed further into the whole heel turn. And then Cody Rhodes could go on to the Elimination Chamber and maybe he wins there, and that's how he gets to WrestleMania. But the only problem that I'm finding with this story is there's a bit of a hole in it, is the fact that if he was the one to take out Jacob, then also if I think about this whole route towards WrestleMania of like Cody doesn't win the Rumble, because I don't think you can do that again. Like, please, WWE, don't do that again, because he's already won 2 in a row recently as well. So please don't. Yeah, so I don't think Cody Rhodes wins the Rumble. I think he either starts off very early, or he even gets down to the final 2, and it could be him and Roman, for example, and then Roman could be the one to toss him out, or it could be him and Randy. Randy is the one to toss him out, and that just feeds further into his whole heel turn. Like, he's come that close to winning back the title that he holds so dear to his heart, and someone like a Randy, who is supposed to be so close to him, has taken it away from him, or someone like Roman, who Cody has before come back to help, has now taken it away from him. But yeah, the whole hole in the situation is that if Cody was the one to attack Jacob, then that means that you're kind of gonna have to really drag that whole situation out. Now, I do think that Jacob could possibly be in a situation where he doesn't actually know who attacked him. So it could be kind of like a whodunit. They drag it out a little bit more. Like, I don't think on the next episode we're going to find out who did it. We might, and they might just reveal that it was Drew McIntyre. And I am going to talk about a situation where if it was Drew, how that can play out as well. But I don't see that happening this soon. I don't see them pulling the trigger and telling us straight away. I feel like we could see a situation where backstage Nick Aldis talks to Jacob and Jacob reveals that he doesn't know who did it. So yeah, I feel like because of that, there's a bit of a hole in this whole storyline and this whole plan. So I feel like you either have to go with one or the other. Either Cody Rhodes was the one who attacked Jacob, and then you reveal it pretty soon and he turns heel pretty soon, or you go down the other route and you can drag it out a little bit longer with Cody Rhodes, and maybe this is the situation where Drew was actually the one who attacked Jacob, and they kind of have you distracted with that whole situation. And then Cody Rhodes is on this pursuit of like, I'm going to enter the Royal Rumble to get to WrestleMania and get my title back. He fails. Maybe he goes in the Elimination Chamber. You could possibly have a situation where maybe he fails or maybe he wins. Either way. But yeah, so if Cody Rhodes didn't attack Jacob and Drew did, then maybe I could see the title maybe being on the line inside the chamber, and Drew McIntyre could lose it inside the chamber. It could go down to the final two of Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, or Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, and Cody fails again. This sets up a situation where now, okay, we've got the new WWE champion, either a Roman or a Randy, and now obviously they still need a number one contender. Now I'm going to do a separate video on my predictions for who wins the men's rumble, who wins the women's rumble, all of that sort of stuff. That's coming as well. And a spoiler, I don't think the winner of the men's Royal Rumble is going to choose the WWE Championship. So just throw that out there. So that could be why we end up in a situation where inside the Elimination Chamber, champion Drew McIntyre has to defend the title, and then we end up with a Cody and Roman maybe in the final two. And then, yeah. So then we're heading into WrestleMania, and technically, I think in this situation, Cody Rhodes is the number one contender for the WWE Championship. And I feel like this story probably makes a bit more sense the more that I think about it, because you're pretty much dragging it out a little bit, and that's what WWE love to do these days. They love to drag out stories. So Drew loses the title in the Elimination Chamber. He's had a couple of months with the title. I'm delighted that he's even got the title in the first place. So even if he holds it for a couple of months, I'm going to be super delighted. As long as he defends it a couple of times, perfect. That's great. And then Drew can maybe go on to WrestleMania to face Jacob Fatu. And that's the match that they have at WrestleMania. So then heading into WrestleMania, now they could also have a situation where maybe they want to make the Elimination Chamber a moment again, like what they did before with The Rock and Cena, because obviously in the Unreal documentary, they spoke about how WWE wanted to make the Elimination Chamber into a big moment, and they did that by having Cena turn heel. They could do that at somewhere like Saudi Arabia in the Royal Rumble. I wouldn't be too surprised if they did something like that, because I personally think that Randy Orton is going to become the number one contender to Drew McIntyre. And I think he's going to face Drew at the Rumble. That's what I think is going to happen there. Yeah, there's a possibility that maybe they do something at the Rumble that is a big moment. The Rock shows up and maybe does something, because I wouldn't be surprised if Saudi decide to pay the big bucks to have someone like The Rock show up. Like, that wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I think the most likely storyline is probably that maybe Drew McIntyre did actually attack Jacob Fatu, took him out because he wanted to be the number one contender. Cody Rhodes obviously got all riled up by it. Drew McIntyre started getting inside Cody's head, and then Cody slowly kind of started losing himself a bit maybe in this whole feud with Drew. And then you head into the Royal Rumble. Drew maybe faces Randy. Drew successfully defends the title, so Randy came that close and he misses out on it. Then we head into the Elimination Chamber. Drew puts the title on the line inside the chamber. He loses. He heads on to WrestleMania to face Jacob Fatu. Then we have either Cody Rhodes chasing after a babyface Roman Reigns as WWE Champion, or a babyface Randy Orton as WWE Champion. And the reason why I like this idea is because you're going to be in a situation where it's kind of like, hold on a second, we're going to have a babyface versus babyface situation here heading into WrestleMania. This feels a lot like it did when it was going to be Cena versus Cody, and then we had a big heel turn. But I think the difference is in this situation, this storyline, Cody Rhodes heads into WrestleMania, stays babyface all the way into WrestleMania. We get to WrestleMania, and bang, this is where the big reveal, the big heel turn happens, and maybe what we hear is, if you smell, and The Rock makes his arrival, and it could be a situation where it's Roman versus Cody, because I think that makes it more interesting, and The Rock walks down to the ring, maybe both men are down, maybe The Rock just wipes out Roman, and then Cody takes advantage, and then he wins the championship, and then after that he's sided with the final boss, and he's done the big heel turn, and then down the line you could move into a Roman Reigns versus The Rock match, of course, if The Rock is going to come back for a matchup, and if the WWE want to do it, which I'm sure they probably would, if The Rock wants to do it and he's happy to do it, if Roman's happy to do it as well, you can go down that route. Then you can also even get to the point where we eventually maybe get a Cody Rhodes versus The Rock match as well. There's a possibility for that too in that storyline. So yeah, because even the next WrestleMania is going to be not the one coming up, obviously, but WrestleMania 43, was it? I think 43 is going to be in Saudi Arabia. So I wouldn't be surprised, again, like I said before, if they pay the big bucks to have someone like The Rock, maybe even in a matchup at that event. So yeah, I feel like this is probably going to be a longer video than the rest that I've done on the channel, but I mean, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I've kind of been holding off on it because I've wanted to kind of see a little bit more as to how things are going to play out, and I didn't want to leave it too late because I just have this gut feeling that Cody Rhodes is going to turn heel at some point in the near future, and I've obviously just laid out a big storyline that you can do, and that could be the whole Unreal Season 3, and that could be what their focus is on. But yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Let me know, do you think Cody Rhodes is going to turn heel sooner than we think? Or do you think I'm talking out of my arse? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if there's any other videos as well that you want me to do. I'm going to do a video about who could win the Men's Royal Rumble, who could win the Women's Royal Rumble, that sort of thing. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care and peace.